Ambassador Chen Wei stood in the massive council chamber, watching the holographic displays flicker with data from 1,000 worlds. The Galactic Council met once every lunar cycle, and this session seemed no different from any other. Representatives from dozens of species debated trade routes, mining rights, and environmental protocols. Chen had attended these meetings for 3 years now, ever since humanity joined the galactic community in 2272. The humans had been lucky, Chen often thought. A Gen exploration vessel had detected Earth's radio signals and made first contact. The galaxy had welcomed humanity with cautious curiosity. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, a planet so hostile that most species needed environmental suits just to survive there. The fact that humans evolved there naturally made them unusual, but not unique. Several other species came from harsh worlds too. Chen listened as a Vreet delegate complained about human miners on asteroid station 47. The thin, blue-skinned alien gestured frantically with 4 arms. They work in radiation zones without proper shielding. They ignore safety warnings. This behavior violates 17 different protocols. Chen sighed and activated his translator. Ambassador, our people wear suits rated for those environments. Human tolerance for radiation is higher than Vreet physiology. We follow all safety rules that apply to humans. The Vreet delegate made a sound like steam escaping. That is precisely the problem. Your species treats danger like entertainment. Other delegates murmured in agreement. Chen noticed several Calthrine representatives watching him with their large, dark eyes. The Calthrine were a peaceful species from a low-gravity world with gentle weather. They had built a confederation of similar species, all from comfortable planets where survival came easily. The session ended after 6 hours. Chen returned to the human diplomatic quarters, tired, but not concerned. These small complaints were normal. Every species had cultural differences. 3 sectors away, human engineers worked desperately aboard Station Kepler-7. The station housed 15,000 aliens from various species, serving as a major trade hub. Its fusion core had begun destabilizing after a meteor strike damaged the cooling systems. Station authorities had ordered evacuation, but the ships could not dock safely while the core remained active and unstable. Captain Sarah Mitchell reviewed the situation from her rescue ship. "How long until core breach?" 40 minutes, her engineer reported. "Radiation levels are already critical. No one can go in there." Sarah looked at her crew. "No one except us." Her crew knew what she meant. Humans could tolerate radiation exposure that would kill most species within minutes. It would still be dangerous, extremely dangerous, but they had a chance. "Volunteers only," Sarah said. Every hand went up. 20 minutes later, 3 humans in heavy radiation suits entered the station's core chamber. The radiation meters screamed warnings. They had perhaps 10 minutes before even human bodies would suffer permanent damage. Working with practiced efficiency, they manually reset the cooling systems and stabilized the containment fields. They succeeded with 90 seconds to spare. 15,000 lives were saved. The grateful station authorities praised the human rescuers as heroes. But in the Calthrine Confederation chambers, High Commander Zoleth watched the recordings with growing alarm. "Look at them," he said to his council. "They enter lethal environments without hesitation. They override safety systems designed to protect life. They risk death as casually as we would risk a mild sunburn." Council member Preth, an elderly Calthrine with silver-tinged skin, nodded slowly. "I have reviewed human cultural broadcasts. They engage in activities they call sports that would kill our people. They jump from aircraft with fabric parachutes. They dive into deep water where pressure would crush us. They climb mountains in thin atmosphere. They call this recreation." "It is not recreation," Zoleth said darkly. "It is training. They are a warrior species that has turned the galaxy into their training ground." "But they have never shown aggression," another council member protested. "Not yet," Zoleth replied. "The humans have been here only 15 years. They are studying us, learning our weaknesses. Look at their history. They have fought countless wars among themselves. Their planet tried to kill them every day, so they became killers to survive. Now they are here. among civilized species who have never known such hardship. When they decide we are weak, they will strike. The council chamber fell silent. Fear was a powerful motivator, especially among species that had evolved without significant predators. Over the next months, Zolith gathered support quietly. He shared carefully edited information about human behavior. He showed footage of human soldiers training for combat, humans engaging in dangerous activities, humans working in environments that would mean certain death for other species. He never showed the context or explained that humans were protective, not aggressive. He never mentioned that humans had resolved every diplomatic dispute peacefully. Other species from comfortable worlds began to worry. The Civite, the Quinn, the Marathian all joined Zoleth's growing coalition. They called themselves the Preservation Alliance, dedicated to protecting the galaxy from future threats. Ambassador Chen knew nothing of this. Humanity continued its peaceful integration into galactic society. Human traders, scientists, and explorers spread across the stars, always helpful, always curious, never suspecting that fear was growing in the shadows. The Calthrine Confederation spent 2 years building a fleet in secret. 300 warships equipped with the latest weapons technology, crewed by soldiers who believed they were preventing a future catastrophe. They trained in hidden systems, preparing for what they called a defensive war. High Commander Zolith stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the swirling colors of faster-than-light travel. His fleet was ready. They would strike quickly, disable human military capability before it could be used against the galaxy. It was necessary, he told himself. It was survival. The fleet dropped out of FTL space at the edge of human territory, near a colony world called New Horizons. 30,000 humans lived there, mostly farmers and researchers. They had no significant defenses. Zolith opened a communication channel that broadcast across all frequencies. His translator spoke in dozens of languages simultaneously. Attention, human territories. This is High Commander Zolith of the Preservation Alliance. Your species represents a clear and present danger to galactic peace. Your Deathworld nature and warrior culture cannot be allowed to threaten civilized societies. Surrender your military assets immediately, or we will be forced to neutralize them. This is not negotiable. You have 1 hour to respond. On Earth, in the middle of the night, alarms woke President Martinez. She listened to the message 3 times, her face pale with shock. "Get me Ambassador Chen," she said quietly, "and wake up the Defense Council. Tell them we are at war and I have no idea why." Governor Lisa Park stared at the display screen in her office on New Horizons, replaying the alien commander's message. Around her, colony administrators stood in shocked silence. 30,000 civilians lived here, families who had come to farm the rich soil and study the native plant life. They had mining equipment, construction vehicles, and exactly 20 patrol ships designed to clear dangerous asteroids from orbital approach paths. "Get everyone to the shelters," Lisa said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Send emergency broadcasts on all channels. Someone in the Galactic Council has to help us understand what is happening." Captain James Rodriguez commanded the New Horizons defense flotilla from his ship, the Determination. He was a career officer who had expected to spend his deployment protecting the colony from space debris, not fighting a war. His 20 ships spread into defensive formation between the Calthrine fleet and the planet. "Sir, our communications officer is trying every diplomatic channel," his second-in-command reported. No response from the Calthrine. The Galactic Council is in emergency session but hasn't issued any statements. James looked at his tactical display. 300 hostile ships versus 20 defenders. The mathematics were brutal. Broadcast on all frequencies. "Tell them we don't understand why they're here. Tell them we want to talk." The Calthrine fleet advanced steadily, ignoring all hails. On the Calthrine flagship, High Commander Zolith watched the human ships with satisfaction. They positioned themselves predictably. Their formation follows standard defensive doctrine. Exactly as our intelligence predicted, his tactical officer gestured to the display. "Commander, the human ships appear to be older designs, heavy armor plating instead of advanced shielding. Their weapons are primarily kinetic, not energy-based." "This will be over quickly," Zolith nodded. "Target their engines first. Disable them so they cannot flee. The humans must learn that aggression has consequences." The Calthrine ships opened fire. Brilliant beams of concentrated energy lanced across space, designed to overload shields and fry electronic systems. The technology had proven effective against every hostile force the Calthrine had encountered in their history. The beams struck human ships and splashed harmlessly across thick, composite armor. The armor heated, glowed briefly, then dissipated the energy through heat sinks and ablative layers. Warning alarms sounded on human bridges as temperature gauges climbed, but no critical damage occurred. James Rodriguez watched in amazement as his ship absorbed hits that should have crippled it. Their weapons are designed for shields. Our armor is too dense. Return fire all ships. Target their forward vessels. Human railguns spoke, hurling solid metal slugs at incredible velocity. The Calthrine had studied human kinetic weapons and dismissed them as primitive, slow to reload and easy to avoid. Their shield technology could disperse energy weapons perfectly, but shields designed to bend and dissipate energy did nothing against solid matter moving at 30 kilometers per second. The first railgun slugs punched through Calthrine shields like they were paper. One frigate exploded instantly when a tungsten round tore through its reactor. Another spun wildly as a hit destroyed its maneuvering system. Chaos erupted in the Calthrine formation. "Impossible!" Zolith shouted. "Their primitive weapons should not be effective." His tactical officer looked terrified. "Sir, our shields cannot stop physical projectiles at those velocities. We need to withdraw and recalculate." "No!" Zolith slammed his hand on the command console. "We have 15 times their numbers. All ships attack pattern Delta. Overwhelm them with concentrated fire." The Calthrine fleet swarmed forward, surrounding the human ships. Energy beams came from all directions, heating human armor to dangerous levels. Several human ships showed critical damage, their hulls glowing red from absorbed energy. "Sir, we need to retreat," James's engineer reported. "Hull temperature is approaching failure limits." James looked at the planet below. 30,000 people depended on them. "Negative. Activate emergency cooling systems. All ships. Execute pattern November." What happened next would become legendary in galactic military history. The human ships accelerated directly toward the Calthrine fleet at 7 gravities of force. Inside the human vessels, crews grunted and strained against the crushing pressure, their reinforced bones and muscles enduring what would instantly kill most species. The ships spun and dove in 3 dimensions, executing maneuvers that looked suicidal. Calthrine crews watched in horror as human ships moved in ways their own bodies could never survive. The humans used their crushing gravity world evolution as a weapon. A human destroyer flew within meters of a Calthrine cruiser, firing at point-blank range before spinning away with a 9-gravity turn that should have killed everyone aboard. Lieutenant Maria Okonkwo piloted her interceptor through a gap between 2 Calthrine battleships, her vision graying from the G-forces but her hands steady. She fired a spread of missiles, watching them track and impact enemy engines. "That's 3 for me," she muttered, fighting to stay conscious. The battle raged for 2 hours. Human ships were outnumbered but fought with terrifying efficiency. They used their superior maneuverability and kinetic weapons to devastating effect. Calthrine commanders discovered that their elegant energy weapons took too long to recharge, and their shields were useless against human tactics. When the Calthrine finally retreated, they left behind 140 destroyed ships and fragments of their confidence. Every surviving ship carried damage. The human fleet had lost 4 ships with all hands. 16 more were badly damaged, but they had won. James Rodriguez slumped in his command chair, exhausted. Around him, his crew cheered weakly. They had saved their colony, but the victory tasted bitter. They had killed thousands of beings they did not hate and did not understand. "Get me a channel to Earth," James said quietly. "Tell them we held, but we need reinforcements. This won't be the last attack." On the Calthrine flagship, High Commander Zolith stared at his tactical display in disbelief. He had lost nearly half his fleet to a force 1/15 his size. The humans had fought with precision, ferocity, and abilities that defied his understanding of biology and physics. "They are worse than we imagined," he said to his surviving officers. "They are weapons born from a nightmare world, and we have awakened them. We need more ships, more allies. The humans have revealed their true nature. Now we must convince the galaxy that humanity must be stopped before it is too late." He did not understand that he was describing his own fears, not human nature. The humans had fought only to protect their home. They had disabled ships when possible, targeted weapons and engines instead of crew compartments. They had transmitted rescue beacons for Calthrine escape pods even while the battle raged, but fear and pride made Zolith blind. He saw only what he expected to see, and began planning the next attack, certain that he was saving the galaxy from monsters. President Martinez stood in the Situation Room beneath the Capitol building, surrounded by military advisors and diplomatic staff. Holographic displays showed human colonies across 3 sectors, all vulnerable to attack. The Defense Council had worked through the night, mobilizing forces that were never meant to fight an actual war. "We have 43 warships total," Admiral Thompson reported. "Another 100 patrol vessels like the ones at New Horizons. Against 300 enemies, we won through surprise and superior tactics. But the Calthrine will adapt. They will bring more ships next time." Martinez rubbed her tired eyes. "What about diplomatic solutions? Ambassador Chen?" Chen's hologram appeared from the Galactic Council station. He looked exhausted and frustrated. "Madam President, the Council is paralyzed. Most species are too afraid to take sides. The Calthrine are spreading edited footage of the battle, claiming we attacked them. They are recruiting allies from other comfortable world species, claiming we are an existential threat." "But that's insane," Martinez said. "We were defending our colony. We have never attacked anyone." "I know, but fear makes people believe impossible things. I am trying to reach moderate Calthrine voices, but the hardliners control their government now." Martinez looked at her military council. "Mobilize everything we have. Recall all ships to defensive positions around our colonies. But under no circumstances do we enter enemy territory. We defend only. I will not prove their lies true by becoming the aggressors they claim we are." Across the galaxy, in the Calthrine home system, High Commander Zolith addressed a gathering of allied species. The Sevit, Quinn, Marathene, and others listened as he showed carefully selected footage from the battle. "Look at their aggression," Zolith said, showing human ships in attack runs. He did not show that those attacks were defensive responses to Calthrine fire. "See how they destroy our vessels without mercy." He did not mention the rescue beacons humans transmitted for survivors. A Sevit admiral spoke up, his voice buzzing through his translator. "We offer 300 ships to your cause. The humans must be contained. Other species pledge support." Within days, the Preservation Alliance grew to 800 warships from 5 different species, all convinced they were preventing a future catastrophe. But not everyone believed the propaganda. In a small research facility on the Calthrine homeworld, a young scientist named Vrel studied human cultural data with growing confusion. She had requested access to human broadcasts, claiming she was researching the enemy. In truth, she had questions. Vrel watched human entertainment programs, news broadcasts, and historical records. She saw humans risking their lives to save others, not to conquer. She saw human children playing, human families celebrating, human artists creating beauty. She saw a species that valued life intensely precisely because they had learned how fragile it was. "This does not match the official reports," she said to her empty laboratory. She worked late into the night, comparing official Calthrine military intelligence with actual human behavior. The differences were stark. She composed a message to High Commander Zolith explaining her findings. It was never delivered. Her superior intercepted it and summoned her to his office. "You are relieved of this research," he told her coldly. "Report to standard duties. Do not speak of this again." Vrel nodded obediently, but something had changed in her mind. She could not unsee what she had learned. The Preservation Alliance launched their second attack 3 weeks after the first battle. This time they struck simultaneously at 3 human colonies. New Horizons again, Armstrong Station in the Beta Sector, and the mining colony on Ganymede in Earth's own solar system. 800 ships against humanity's hastily assembled defense fleet. The mathematics were worse than before. Commander Sarah Chen, younger sister of Ambassador Chen, commanded the defense of Armstrong Station. Her 15 ships faced 250 attackers from multiple species, each with different weapons and tactics. "Hold formation," Sarah ordered. "Make them come to us through the station's defensive grid." The battle for Armstrong Station lasted 6 brutal hours. Human ships fought with desperate courage, but numbers began to tell. The station itself was evacuated, 20,000 civilians fleeing in transport ships while the fleet held the line. When a Sevit destroyer broke through the defensive perimeter, Heading for the fleeing transport, Sarah made a decision that would haunt her dreams forever. Her ship was already critically damaged, half her crew dead or wounded. She rammed the enemy destroyer at full thrust, her ship's heavy bow armor smashing through the alien vessel's midsection. Both ships were destroyed. Sarah and her remaining crew died instantly, but the transports escaped. Similar scenes played out at the other battles. At Ganymede, human miners used their excavation equipment as improvised weapons. At New Horizons, Captain Rodriguez fought another desperate defense, his damaged ship from the first battle barely holding together. The humans lost 6 ships at each battle site, 18 total. They destroyed 120 enemy vessels. More importantly, they saved every single civilian. Not one transport was lost, but the cost was terrible. 3,000 human military personnel died, and the survivors carried scars that would never fully heal. Sergeant Maria Okonkwo, now promoted after her actions in the first battle, led a boarding team onto a damaged Calthrine command ship at New Horizons. Her squad wore full combat armor and moved through the alien vessel with practiced efficiency. The Calthrine crew they encountered were terrified. Humans in armor looked like nightmares from their darkest fears, 7 feet tall with the armor's enhancement, moving with predatory grace, capable of fighting in vacuum, fire, or toxic atmosphere. The Calthrine surrendered immediately. Maria's squad searched the ship systematically. In a science laboratory, they found a young Calthrine female hiding behind equipment, trembling with fear. "Contact," Maria reported. "One civilian unarmed." "Secure her," came the order from her lieutenant. Maria approached slowly, hands visible and empty. "We will not hurt you," she said through her translator. "You are safe." The Calthrine, Vrel, stared at the human soldier. This was supposed to be a savage warrior from a death world. Why was she speaking gently? Why had she removed her helmet, showing her human face? Suddenly, alarms shrieked through the ship. The damaged vessel's fire suppression systems had failed, and flames were spreading through the engineering section. Toxic smoke began filling the corridors. "We need to evacuate," Maria's squadmate shouted. "This whole section is going to blow." Maria looked at Vrel. The young alien could not survive in the smoke. Without hesitation, Maria removed her own emergency respirator and placed it over Vrel's face. "Breathe through this. We are getting you out." Maria held her breath and lifted Vrel, carrying her through smoke that would have killed the Calthrine in seconds. Her lungs burned and her eyes watered, but she kept moving. Her squadmate helped, and together they reached the shuttle bay as the engineering section exploded behind them. On the shuttle, breathing oxygen again, Maria checked to make sure Vrel was unharmed. "You are okay now. We will get you medical attention." Vrel stared at the human who had risked her life to save an enemy. Everything she had been told was wrong. These were not mindless warriors. They were protectors who valued life so much they would die to preserve it. "Why?" Vrel asked through her translator. "Why save me?" "We attacked you." Maria looked confused by the question. "Because you needed help. That is reason enough." In that moment, Vrel understood the terrible mistake her people had made. The humans were not the monsters. The monsters were the ones who started this war based on fear and lies. She had evidence on her personal data device, all her research about human culture and behavior. And now she had witnessed human compassion firsthand. She knew what she had to do. "I need to reach the Galactic Council," Vrel told Maria. "I have information that could end this war. Will you help me?" Maria looked at the young alien scientist with measuring eyes, then nodded slowly. "Yeah, I think we can arrange that." The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with urgent conversation as representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered for an emergency session. Ambassador Chen stood at the human podium, his face showing the strain of 3 months of continuous warfare. Behind him, holographic displays showed casualty figures and battle footage from 17 separate engagements. "Members of the Council," Chen began, his voice heavy with exhaustion and grief. "Humanity asks again, why are we at war? We have sent peace envoys to every Calthrine world. We have broadcast our willingness to negotiate on all frequencies. We have opened our databases to neutral observers. We have done everything except surrender our right to exist, and still the attacks continue." High Commander Zolith stood at the Calthrine podium, his bearing proud despite the losses his forces had suffered. "The human ambassador speaks of peace while his military destroys our ships. They claim defense while their warriors board our vessels with terrifying efficiency. The evidence speaks for itself. The evidence shows we have not advanced 1 meter beyond our own territory, Chen countered, his frustration breaking through his diplomatic training. Every battle has been fought in human space. We have disabled and captured your ships instead of destroying them when possible. We have treated your wounded and returned your dead with honor. What more proof do you need that we want peace? Before Zolith could respond, the chamber doors opened. A small figure walked in, escorted by 2 human Marines in dress uniform. Vrel approached the speaker's platform, her legs shaking but her resolve firm. "I am Vrel, scientist of the Kalthrine Confederation," she announced. "I request permission to address the council." Zolith's face darkened. That scientist is a traitor who has been compromised by human manipulation. The council should not hear her lies. The council speaker, an ancient Gen whose species had maintained galactic peace for millennia, raised one clawed hand. She will speak. All perspectives must be heard. Vrel activated her data device and new images filled the holographic displays. "I have spent months studying human culture and behavior. The official Kalthrine intelligence reports are either incomplete or deliberately misleading. Humans do come from a harsh world. They are capable of surviving in conditions that would kill most of us. But this does not make them aggressive. It makes them protective." She showed footage of human rescue workers saving aliens from disasters, human doctors treating injured beings from dozens of species, human engineers building infrastructure on alien worlds. They volunteer for dangerous work because they can survive it, not because they seek violence. They override safety protocols to save lives, not to demonstrate dominance. "Propaganda," Zolith interrupted. "Carefully selected images to hide their true nature." "Then explain this," Vrel said, showing footage from the battle where Maria had saved her. "This human soldier removed her own breathing equipment to save me, an enemy during a fire. She risked her life for someone who belonged to a nation attacking her home. Is this the behavior of an aggressive warrior species?" The council chamber fell silent. Many representatives leaned forward, studying the footage carefully. Vrel continued, her confidence growing. "I have analyzed 17 battles between Human and Preservation Alliance forces. In every case, humans targeted weapons and engines, not crew quarters. They transmitted rescue beacons for survivors. They treated prisoners according to galactic law. Meanwhile, we have killed human civilians, destroyed medical facilities, and refused every peace offer. Who are the aggressors in this war?" Zolith stood abruptly. "The council should not listen to this traitor. She has been brainwashed by human psychological warfare." "I was rescued by humans who could have left me to die," Vrel said quietly. "I have seen their true nature. They are not what we feared. We made this war from our own terror, and innocent beings on both sides have died for our mistake." The Gen Collective representative, Ambassador Krist, rose to speak. "The Gen Collective has observed this conflict with concern. We sent our own scouts to monitor the battles. Vrel's assessment matches our findings. The humans fight ferociously, yes, but only to protect. They show mercy when possible. They value life, all life, even enemy life." Other neutral species began voicing agreement. The weight of evidence was shifting, slowly but undeniably. Then came the news that changed everything. A priority transmission arrived from the Kalthrine hardline fleet. Admiral Vosh, commander of the extremist faction, broadcast a message to the council. "We are launching the final assault. Target, Earth itself. The human homeworld must be occupied to ensure galactic security. We launch in 1 hour." Chen's face went white. "You would attack a civilian world with 8 billion people? That is genocide." Zolith looked shocked. "I did not authorize this. Admiral Vosh acts without approval." "But you created him," Vrel said, her voice sharp with anger. "You fed your people lies and fear until extremists like Vosh felt justified in mass murder. This is where your propaganda leads, Commander. This is the cost of your mistake." The council erupted into chaos. Some species demanded immediate intervention. Others argued about jurisdiction and military capability. The debate raged while the clock counted down. Chen grabbed his communicator. "Earth Defense Forces, this is Ambassador Chen. Threat level maximum. Enemy fleet heading for Earth. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. Prepare for planetary defense." President Martinez received the warning in the middle of the night. She stood on the balcony of her office, looking at the city lights spreading across the valley below. 8 billion people going about their lives unaware that an alien armada was coming to end human civilization. "Mobilize everything. she ordered. "Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. And send a message to our people across the colonies. Tell them what is happening. Tell them we will fight to the last breath. Tell them we love them." Admiral Thompson coordinated the defense from Orbital Command. Earth's fleet consisted of 60 military vessels, but within hours, something unexpected happened. Civilian ships began arriving. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, mining vessels, research ships. Every human spacecraft within range of Earth changed course and headed home. Their captains sent the same message. Earth protected us when we went to the stars. Now we protect Earth. The Gen Collective did something unprecedented. Ambassador Krist announced that the Gen would deploy their fleet to aid humanity. "We cannot stand by while genocide unfolds. The humans have committed no crime except defending themselves. We will help them defend their home." Other species, moved by humanity's restrained response to months of aggression, pledged support. The Vrick sent medical ships. The Morellians offered supply vessels. It was not enough to stop the Preservation Alliance fleet, but it was something. It was the galaxy finally seeing the truth. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky, knowing that battle was coming. In cities and towns across the planet, humans gathered with their families. They did not panic. They had evolved on a world that tried to kill them daily. They knew how to face death with courage, but they also knew how to fight back. Sergeant Maria Okonkwo stood in the briefing room of the orbital station Guardian 1, looking at her strike team. They had been training for 3 weeks, preparing for exactly this scenario. Boarding action against enemy capital ships. "Our job is to capture the flagship," Maria told her team. "We take Admiral Vosh alive if possible. Command wants him to answer for his actions, but make no mistake, people. This is for everything. For our families down there. For our future. For our right to exist. Check your gear. Launch in 30 minutes. As her team prepared, Maria thought about Vrel, the young Calthrine scientist who had tried so hard to stop this. She thought about all the reasonable beings on both sides who wanted peace. She thought about her own family in Lagos, her mother and father and 2 younger brothers all sheltering in place while death approached from the stars. "We will protect them," Maria whispered to herself. "No matter the cost. That is what humans do. We protect." The enemy fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 400 ships, the largest armada ever assembled by the Preservation Alliance. Admiral Vosh stood on his flagship's bridge, staring at the blue-green planet that hung in the darkness ahead. "That is the source of the threat," he told his crew. "That beautiful death world that spawned a species too dangerous to coexist with civilized beings. Today we end the human threat forever." But Earth was ready. The human defense fleet moved into position. 60 military vessels reinforced by 140 civilian ships that had been hastily armed with whatever weapons could be mounted. Behind them, the planet's orbital defense platforms came online, mass drivers and missile batteries tracking the approaching enemy. The Gen Collective fleet arrived from the opposite vector, 20 elegant warships that had crossed half the galaxy in 3 days. Ambassador Krist transmitted to Admiral Thompson. "We stand with humanity today. Where do you need us?" "Flank support left quadrant," Thompson replied, his voice tight with emotion. "And thank you. Your people will be remembered for this." The battle began at extreme range. Preservation Alliance ships opened fire with energy weapons, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer numbers. Human ships absorbed the hits on their heavy armor, while returning fire with railguns and missiles. Space filled with debris and explosions as the 2 forces collided. Admiral Vosh smiled as his fleet pushed forward. The humans were fighting well, but mathematics would prevail. He had 400 ships. They would break through eventually. Then the civilian ships entered the battle and Vosh's smile faded. Cargo haulers rammed enemy vessels at full thrust, sacrificing themselves to destroy ships 10 times their size. Mining ships used their industrial cutting lasers at point-blank range. A passenger liner, its hull decorated with a painted rainbow and the words Star Dreamer, flew directly into a formation of enemy cruisers, detonating its fusion reactor in a blast that destroyed 8 ships. "They are insane," Vosh's tactical officer said, his voice shaking. "The civilians are attacking us. They are killing themselves to defend their world." "Because it is their world," Vosh said, understanding dawning in his mind. "They are not warriors seeking conquest. They are parents protecting their children." But he had committed to this course. He could not turn back now without admitting everything had been a mistake, that thousands had died for nothing. "Press the attack. All ships, break through to orbital space. We must reach the planet's surface. Maria Okonkwo's strike team launched in stealth shuttles using the chaos of battle to approach the enemy flagship undetected. They attached to the hull and burned through with cutting torches, entering the ship in a storm of controlled violence. Calthrene security forces tried to stop them. They failed. Humans in combat armor moved through the ship like unstoppable forces of nature, their training and genetic advantages making them nearly invincible in close quarters. But Maria's team followed strict rules of engagement. Disable, do not kill unless absolutely necessary. They used stun weapons when possible, precise strikes when required. They fought their way to the bridge in 20 minutes. Maria was the first through the door, her weapon trained on Admiral Vosh. Stand down. You are captured. Vosh looked at the human warrior who had invaded his flagship. In that moment, all his certainty crumbled. This human could have killed him and everyone on the bridge. Instead, she offered surrender. Why? He asked the same question Vrel had asked months ago. We are trying to destroy your world. Why show mercy? Maria's answer was simple. Because we remember what we fight for. We fight to protect, not to destroy. Even our enemies deserve the chance to learn from their mistakes. She walked to the communications console. Broadcast on all frequencies, Admiral's authorization. Vosh, moving like a being in a dream, entered his command codes. Maria's helmet camera feed appeared on every screen in the Preservation Alliance fleet. She pulled Admiral Vosh into the camera's view, making sure everyone could see him captured but unharmed. Preservation Alliance forces, this is Sergeant Okonkwo of the Human Defense Forces. Your Admiral is our prisoner. He is safe and unharmed. We offer the same terms to all of you. Stand down and you will be treated according to galactic law. Continue fighting, and we will defend our home with everything we have. The choice is yours. She paused, then added, We never wanted this war. We still do not want it. We want only to live in peace. Please let this end. On ships throughout the Preservation Alliance fleet, crews looked at each other in confusion and doubt. They had been told humans were monsters, but this warrior who had captured their admiral spoke of peace while offering mercy. The contradiction was too great to ignore. One by one, ships began standing down. Not all of them, but enough. The hardliners who continued fighting found themselves outnumbered by humans, Gen, and now their own former allies who had lost the will to fight. The battle ended after 8 hours. Earth's defense had held, but at terrible cost. 32 human military ships destroyed, 41 civilian vessels lost, 8,000 human military personnel dead, 20,000 civilian volunteers who had died defending their home. The Gen had lost 7 ships and thousands of their own people. The Preservation Alliance suffered worse. 190 ships destroyed, 200 more heavily damaged, casualties in the hundreds of thousands. And for what? What had they gained? President Martinez addressed Earth and the galaxy from the ruins of Orbital Station 7, which had been destroyed by enemy fire. Behind her, repair crews worked to recover the bodies of the fallen. She wore a simple black suit, her face showing every year of her age and the weight of recent grief. We have survived, she said quietly. Our home remains free, but I take no joy in this victory. Thousands have died on both sides because of fear and misunderstanding. We will honor our dead. We will rebuild, and we will forgive those who attacked us because hate only breeds more hate. She paused, looking directly into the camera. To the species of the galaxy who watched this conflict, we say this. Humans come from a harsh world. We evolved to survive conditions that would kill most of you. This made us strong, but it also taught us the value of life. Every human knows that existence is fragile, that death comes easily. This is why we fight so hard to protect life, all life, even enemy life. We are not the monsters you feared. We are the friends you needed but did not recognize. In the Galactic Council chamber, representatives watched Martinez's speech in silence. Many felt shame for their inaction. Others felt relief that the war was ending. All understood that the galaxy had changed. Ambassador Chen worked with Vrel and moderate Calthrene leaders to draft what would become known as the Deathworld Protocols. The document acknowledged that species from harsh environments were not inherently dangerous. It established cultural exchange programs, required education about diversity, and created frameworks for peaceful coexistence between species with different environmental tolerances. High Commander Zolith, who had survived the war but lost his command, was tried for his crimes. The Galactic Court found him guilty of starting an unjust war based on deliberate misinformation. His sentence was unique. He would spend 5 years on Earth living among the humans he had feared, learning their culture firsthand. Admiral Vosh received a similar sentence. Maria visited him once in his Earth residence in Mexico City. They sat on the balcony, looking at the mountains in the distance. "I watched the battle footage from your ship," Vosh said quietly. "When you captured me, your forces transmitted rescue beacons for every escape pod, even while the fighting continued. Your medics treated our wounded before your own. I cannot comprehend such behavior." Maria smiled sadly. "We come from a world that tried to kill us every day. Earthquakes, hurricanes, disease, predators, the list goes on. We survived by working together, by protecting the weak, by valuing every life. That doesn't change just because we are fighting. Our enemies are still people who deserve compassion." Vosh was silent for a long time. "We made you into monsters in our minds because we did not understand. I am sorry. The words are insufficient, but I am sorry." "Words are a start," Maria said. "Actions matter more. Teach your people what you learned. Help prevent the next war before it begins." 1 year after the war ended, Vrel became the Calthrine ambassador to Earth. She stood in a memorial garden in Geneva, where a monument listed the names of every being who had died in the war, human and alien alike. She planted a tree from her homeworld, its purple leaves contrasting beautifully with Earth's green foliage. Ambassador Chen stood beside her, along with President Martinez and representatives from dozens of species. Vrel spoke to the assembled crowd and the billions watching across the galaxy. "We feared humans because we did not understand them. We saw their strength and assumed aggression. We saw their tolerance for danger and assumed recklessness. We saw their differences and assumed threat. We were wrong about everything." She touched the tree gently, her hand shaking slightly. "Deathworlders do not seek death. They have learned to cherish life precisely because they know how easily it ends. Humans could have destroyed us during the war. They had the power. But they chose mercy instead, again and again, even when we did not deserve it. They taught us that true strength is not the ability to destroy, but the wisdom to protect." The ceremony ended with a moment of silence for the dead. Then, as the sun set over the mountains, human musicians played a piece composed specifically for the memorial. The music blended human and alien instruments, creating something new and beautiful from tragedy. In orbit above Earth, human and alien ships now patrolled together. Human engineers helped rebuild stations damaged in the war. Human doctors trained alien medical students. Human children learned Calthrine language in schools, while Calthrine children learned about Earth's ecosystems. The galaxy had changed. Species from harsh worlds were no longer viewed with automatic suspicion. Cultural exchange programs flourished. And humanity, the Deathworlders who had been attacked for their differences, became peacekeepers and protectors for the Galactic Council. Maria Okonkwo, promoted to captain after the war, commanded one of the new joint human-alien peacekeeping vessels. Her crew included humans, Calthrine, Gen, and half a dozen other species. They responded to emergencies, mediated disputes, and occasionally stopped pirates or smugglers. One day, responding to a distress call from a mining colony, Maria's crew found themselves facing armed raiders who had taken hostages. The raiders were members of a species known for their aggressive nature, convinced that violence was the only language others understood. Maria landed her shuttle and walked toward the raiders with her hands empty and visible. Her mixed-species crew followed, weapons lowered but ready. The raiders pointed their weapons at her, shouting threats. "We do not want to fight you," Maria said calmly. "We want only to help the hostages. You can leave peacefully, or we can resolve this with force. The choice is yours." The raider leader laughed. "You are human. I have heard stories. You pretend to be peaceful, but you are warriors from a death world. You cannot help your nature." Maria smiled, an expression that never quite reached her eyes. "You are right that I come from a harsh world. You are wrong about what that means. I learned to fight because my world taught me that survival requires protecting those who cannot protect themselves. I am giving you the choice to leave because even you deserve mercy. Do not mistake compassion for weakness. I will protect these hostages with or without your cooperation." Something in her voice, the absolute certainty and controlled power, made the raider leader understand. Humans were not aggressive. They were protective, and there was nothing more dangerous than a protector defending the helpless. The raiders surrendered without firing a shot. Later, Maria stood on her ship's observation deck looking at the stars. Vrel joined her, carrying 2 cups of tea, one suited to human biology and one for Calthrine. Do you think it will last? Vrel asked. The peace we built? Maria considered the question carefully. I think it will be difficult. Different species will always have conflicts. But now the galaxy understands that strength without wisdom is just violence, and wisdom without strength cannot protect the innocent. We taught them that lesson with blood and sacrifice. I hope they remember. Vrel nodded. They will remember. We will make sure of it. They stood together in comfortable silence, a human and a Calthrine, once enemies, now friends. Behind them, the mixed crew went about their duties, speaking different languages, coming from different worlds, united by the shared understanding that in the vast and dangerous galaxy, compassion was not weakness but the highest form of strength. The Deathworlders had taught the galaxy a new way to measure power, not by the ability to destroy, but by the courage to protect, the wisdom to show mercy, and the strength to choose peace even when war would be easier. And the galaxy was better for that lesson, despite the terrible cost of learning it.